All right, ready to dive into some Islamic spirituality.
Let's do it.
We're looking at the removal of cares.
By Sheikh Qadir al-Jilani.
45 discourses.
A lot to unpack.
We'll bring you the good stuff.
What stood out to me, the idea of buying Allah from Allah.
Yeah, what's that about?
It makes you think.
Then violent death, but life everlasting.
Not literal death, more like death of the ego.
So inner transformation.
Exactly.
Heavy stuff.
There are key concepts that keep coming up.
Like a glossary almost.
Notions, or kawatir.
Kawatir.
The thoughts we have, good or bad.
I'd filter those, right?
And that's where patience comes in.
Well,
Not just enduring tough times, but good and bad equally.
like a superpower. How do we get that?
It's active, not passive.
Ah.
There's even a story, a righteous man worried when he didn't have trials.
So hardship is a good thing.
It's an opportunity for growth.
Okay, so sabr is for the ups and downs.
Then there's repentance, tawbah.
We all mess up sometime.
It's acknowledging that, seeking forgiveness, and doing better.
Always improving.
And underpinning all this is sincere devotion.
Close.
Acting purely for Allah, no other motive.
That's hard. Plus, even with this book, the translator says there are different manuscripts.
Different interpretations.
How do we even know what's right?
The Sheikh acknowledges this. He wants us to engage deeply with the text, think about it.
Not just skim it.
Exactly. And one key part is understanding Allah.
Like his attribute as an articulate speaker.
Right. And the story of Moses.
Almost dying from the power of Allah's speech.
Shows the difference between us and the divine.
Could we even handle hearing Allah's voice?
Who knows? What matters is his words can transform us.
And each prophet experienced Allah differently.
Moses yearned for a vision, while Prophet Muhammad was given it freely.
Different paths for everyone.
Focus on pure intentions and surrender your ego.
That's reassuring. The removal of cares is big on inner transformation, right?
It says a believer's heart should be empty of all but Allah.
Like that story of the guy who had his leg amputated during prayer and didn't even notice.
Shows how powerful that connection can be.
Wow. But it's not always easy, is it? This whole struggle against our lower selves, the nafs,
Constant battle. Desires versus commitment.
angel and devil on our shoulders.
The removal of cares says discipline is key, and denying those fleeting pleasures.
So we can find real contentment.
There's an analogy comparing the nafs to Pharaoh.
Demanding obedience, trying to control us.
We can overcome it, though, with guidance and patience.
So when things get tough, that's a good sign.
It refines us.
This is challenging stuff. Like, are we really committed to this?
And there's this quote, "If someone does not gladly accept my judgment and is not patient in bearing my tribulation, let him choose a god apart from me."
Wow, that's intense. But it's not just about our personal relationship with Allah, right?
Mhm.
The removal of cares talks about good character and how we treat others.
Respect, tolerance, humility.
Walking the walk.
Also, raising your kids right, guiding them towards Allah,
More than just feeding and clothing them.
and taking care of the poor, not just with obligatory charity, but real kindness.
It's about actions matching your beliefs. But what about hypocrisy? The removal of cares warns against that.
It says outward actions are meaningless without sincerity.
Can't fool Allah.
There's a story about a man who gave away all his food,
Charitable.
but his maid had saved one egg.
Oh.
And he said, "You have made us lose 10. Meaning the unseen rewards are huge.
Wow, that's a good one. So don't get too caught up in this world.
It's fleeting compared to Allah.
Right. But this buying Allah from Allah thing, still confusing.
It's a deep concept.
How can we buy something that already belongs to everyone?
Remember, the book talks about letting go of worldly stuff.
Trading the temporary for the eternal?
So it's like an exchange, giving up fleeting things for closeness to Allah.
Like spiritual currency?
It also involves surrendering our ego, letting Allah's will be done.
Not easy.
It takes faith, saying, "Not my will, but yours."
That's powerful. And this connects to sincerity, right? Ikhlas.
Absolutely. Buying Allah from Allah means doing things only for Him.
Actions have to match inner belief.
Outward show means nothing without sincerity.
Living our faith for real.
That's the essence, trading the fleeting for the eternal.
Lots to unpack there. We'll continue the deep dive into the removal of cares next time.
Looking forward to it.
That buying Allah from Allah idea, it really sticks with you.
It's a core theme.
Makes you think about what we're holding on to, what's blocking us. We
Yeah.
talked about material things, but it's deeper.
Letting go of our own will.
Surrendering to Allah's will.
Big challenge for the ego.
We like to be in charge,
But the book says true freedom is aligning with the divine.
even if we don't get it.
Even then.
So how do we do that? Shift from my will to thy will.
The removal of cares gives us practices, prayer, but not just going through the motions.
Really meaning it.
Asking for guidance, for strength to let go.
What about dhikr? Remembering Allah,
That too, it shifts our focus
away from all the mental noise.
towards Allah's presence,
Finding peace, trust,
making surrender feel like coming home.
like resetting our inner compass. But what about when things get really tough?
Life throws curveballs.
Yeah.
The book says, change your view on those hard times.
Instead of why me,
See them as chances to grow, to become purified.
pressure makes diamonds, right?
Like that.
But it's hard when you're going through it.
There's this analogy, hardship is like a blacksmith's fire.
Shaping the metal.
It hurts, but it makes it strong and beautiful.
We're being forged in the fire.
Exactly.
And that's what the violent death idea is about, right?
The ego dying, letting go of everything we cling to.
To become who we're supposed to be?
It's intense.
Any advice for handling that upheaval?
Remember, you're not alone. Allah's always there.
Even when we don't feel it.
And seek support from teachers, mentors, other seekers.
Like a safety net?
Draw inspiration from the prophets. They face challenges too.
They made it through.
The removal of cares puts a lot of focus on the heart, doesn't it?
Not just the head, but the heart.
It's the source of our love for Allah.
Our action should come from there.
It tells a story, this guy who did all the rituals perfectly. His heart was full of arrogance.
Oh.
Allah rejected him.
Because his actions didn't match what was inside.
We gotta be honest with ourselves.
All about our intentions.
Are we doing things for Allah or for show?
That's where the battle against the nafs comes in.
Lifelong struggle.
We talked about it before, but it keeps coming up.
The removal of cares says, be vigilant, practice self-discipline,
Recognizing those tempting desires.
and choosing to align with our higher goals.
So not eliminating desires, but managing them.
Right.
What helps with that?
Fasting, for one.
Like training.
Denying the nafs, building willpower.
And dhikr, that helps too.
Purifying the heart and mind.
Plus, seeking knowledge.
Not just facts, but wisdom to guide us.
Equipping ourselves for the journey.
It's about balance, right?
The removal of cares talks about that too.
Worldly duties and spiritual aspirations.
Not rejecting the world, but finding a way to live in it.
While staying connected to Allah.
Finding that sweet spot.
The book says, seek knowledge. Purify your intentions.
Remember Allah in everything.
It can help us move from struggle to ease.
That's what we all want. The book also mentions spiritual stations, right? Maqamat.
Stages on the path?
Like levels in a video game.
Sort of, but it's not a rigid system.
Everyone's different.
Focus on your own journey, on sincerity.
What matters is seeking closeness to Allah.
That's the goal.
There's that part about the ups and downs, feeling close to then distant,
a divine dance.
testing our faith.
Deepening the connection.
So it's not always going to feel good.
Embrace the whole experience. Trust in Allah.
Even when we're in the dark.
That's when the practices really matter.
Dhikr, prayer, good company.
They keep us grounded.
The removal of cares also talks about purifying the heart, right?
Like a mirror, it gets clouded.
Pride, envy, all that stuff.
It blocks the light.
So how do we clean it?
Dhikr, seeking forgiveness, good deeds, good company.
Surrounding ourselves with goodness.
And it's a constant effort.
Always working on ourselves.
Remember that guy who felt he'd sinned if he didn't have trials?
Hardship is a chance to grow.
Exactly.
It's a shift in how we see things.
Trusting that Allah knows best.
Even when it's hard.
Seeking knowledge is important too.
Not just blind faith.
Learn from those who truly know.
Find good teachers.
Be discerning, think critically.
Lifelong learning.
But it's not just about us, right?
The removal of cares talks about our responsibilities to others.
It's all connected.
Can't grow spiritually in isolation.
Put your beliefs into action.
Compassion, generosity, justice, those are big words.
It starts small, with character, kindness.
Making the world better.
And it begins at home, with your kids.
Teaching them to love Allah.
Guiding them with patience, not force.
Creating a good environment.
And treating everyone with that same respect.
Recognizing we're all connected. Our actions matter.
It's about being a source of good in the world.
Not just focusing on our own enlightenment.
But remember, be sincere in your actions.
The removal of cares is big on that.
Hypocrisy gets you nowhere.
Allah sees our hearts.
It's about being real, not putting on a show.
Striving for true piety.
Aligning our inner and outer selves.
A constant journey.
Trusting in Allah even when we don't understand.
That takes faith. There's this passage, about seeing all beings with compassion,
Muslims, non-Muslims, everyone.
expanding our hearts.
Recognizing our shared humanity.
That leads to greater responsibility.
Wanting to make things better for everyone.
So it all comes back to buying Allah from Allah.
Letting go of the small stuff to gain something immense.
True wealth isn't about possessions.
It's about our connection with the divine.
And that comes through the practices.
Prayer, deek, knowledge, good actions.
These are the keys.
To unlocking that treasure.
These are powerful teachings.
We've only scratched the surface.
So much to think about. We'll continue our deep dive into the removal of cares next time.
We'll talk about death, balance, surrender.
It's going to be good. The removal of cares really makes you think.
A lot to unpack.
This idea of the heart as a mirror.
Powerful image, right?
It keeps coming back to me.
Sheikh Qadir al-Jilani uses it to show how important it is to purify our hearts.
Yeah, to get rid of the bad stuff.
Pride, envy, all the negativity.
It's like a dirty mirror you can't see clearly.
Exactly.
So what's the best way to polish it? How do we clean our hearts?
It starts with noticing those bad habits, the thought patterns that hold us back.
Being self-aware.
The removal of cares is all about honest reflection.
Seeing what needs to change.
Then it's about actively building good qualities.
Like what?
Gratitude, humility, being kind.
Those are the polish.
To make our hearts shiny, ready for Allah's light.
This ties into what we talked about before, right? Good character, social responsibility.
It's not just about us, it's about how we treat others.
Our actions show what's in our hearts.
The removal of cares connects those two.
Inner and outer have to match.
If you want a pure heart, act purely.
It all works together.
Even small acts matter.
Like what?
A smile, helping someone, saying something kind.
Those little things add up.
It creates harmony.
It's a reminder that everyone can make a difference.
That connects to the bigger picture.
The whole universe.
The removal of cares doesn't just focus on us and Allah.
It's about all of creation.
Our responsibility to the whole community.
There's that passage about the righteous having both this world and the next at their service.
They've found that balance.
They see the sacredness in everything.
So we shouldn't reject the material world.
Or pretend we don't have needs and desires.
It's about integrating those things into our spiritual path.
Finding a way to make it all work together.
The removal of cares says, see the world as Allah's creation.
Full of beauty, lessons to learn.
And part of that is death.
Yeah, we were talking about violent death as a metaphor.
But what about actually dying?
It's a part of life.
The book says don't fear it, be aware of it.
Knowing we'll die helps us focus on what matters.
It makes our time feel precious.
Like, live every day to the fullest.
But not in a reckless way.
More like, be present, make good choices.
Death isn't the end, it's a transition.
Back to Allah.
Reflecting on that helps us let go of worldly stuff.
Because this isn't our real home.
It's about preparing ourselves for what comes next.
It's a journey.
With challenges, but also joy and connection.
The removal of cares gives us tools for that journey.
To help us find love, wisdom, peace.
Not alone.
Find good teachers, friends on the path.
Keep learning, keep growing. This has been an amazing deep dive into the removal of cares.
Thanks for exploring this with me.
May Allah guide us all on our spiritual journeys.